Welcome to Santa Clara High School, everyone. With REK, I am Andrew Ferry, and we have a good one in the CCS semifinal number 1 between St. Francis and Los Altos. And we are underway. Lancers, the 3 seed, against Los Altos, the 2 seed. Stapes with it. Out top to Benedetti. Benedetti pounds the dribble, gets it over to Frazier. St. Francis with the first possession of the ball game. Cross court to Lewis. Lewis tried to feed the post, and it's taken away by Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum back up ahead to Upaluri. So Los Altos is with their first possession. Driving all the way is Rosenbaum, and then he gets hand-checked for the first foul of the game.
Well, for Los Altos, coming out in that aggressive man-to-man defense, creating the turnover on the first possession. See if they can do more of that. Los Altos, a pretty good defensive team this year. We'll see if they'll be able to stop the dynamic Lancers offensive attack.
Scoreless early first quarter. Landman hands off to Garvrick, who pulls up for the deep 2, short, and rims out. Rebound deflected around, and losing it out of bounds was Mihanovic. It will stay with the Eagles.
And that offensive possession helped by Upaluri getting on the offensive glass, causing maybe a little fumble down low for the Lancers there. And you're going to see Upaluri, kind of a do-everything type player. He's going to be the hustle guy for Los Altos, which they'll desperately need in this contest.
Malgacini, step back deep 2, is back iron miss. Frazier the rebounds. Stapes brings it back the other way. Crossing over, sidestep. Leading scorer this year for the Lancers. Where's number 23? Now Frazier at the baseline. Frazier drives in the paint, the floater, up and good for Alex Frazier, 2-0 early.
And Alex Frazier is going to be a tough cover for Los Altos. He's 6'4", but very athletic. The senior getting it done there in the paint.
Garvin crosses over into the paint, pulls his way in, over to Rosenbaum. Baseline drive and another hand check call, this time on Mihanovic. Second team foul on St. Francis.
Well, you look at Frazier, once he gets into the paint area, able to use his length, able to use his height. As you can see, Rosenbaum not quite tall enough to block that little runner in the lane.
The inbound here comes from Rosenbaum. Lux lobs it into Garvrick. Garvrick into the paint, floats around with the right hand, gets it to go down. We are tied at 2. Both teams showing full court pressure early. Stapes pounding the dribble, lobs it to Frazier. Frazier in the front court, over to Garrett, who's checked him for the first time. Now Stapes a 3, back iron miss, and rebound collected by Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum in the front court, stops. Rosenbaum pounding the dribble, hands off to Garvrick. Pump fakes. Garvrick into the paint all the way, floats one up, had it partially blocked and taken away by Frazier. Back comes Garrett. Garrett, no one cuts him off, floats one up with the left hand, around and out. Rebounded by Frazier, goes up and gets fouled, and he'll be shooting 2 at the foul line. So good hustle there by Frazier, as Garrett, no one cut off Garrett.
You like the aggressiveness from both teams here in the early goings. You see Garvrick taking it hard to the hole a couple of times, and this time Frazier for St. Francis, the offensive rebound getting to the glass.
First free throw is good by Frazier. So it's 3-2 St. Francis, 6:02 left in the first quarter. Frazier has all 3 points so far, and he's short with the second free throw. Rebound deflected around, comes to Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum will bring up for Los Altos, who trail by a point. Winner gets either St. Ignatius or Wilcox in the final on Saturday. Good back cut by Upaluri, who throws it to no one. Closest man to it was Riley Quinn, sitting at the end of the St. Francis bench.
Nice play design there for Los Altos. You want Upaluri, not known as one of the top scorers for the Eagles for sure, but he had an open shot there in the lane if you wanted to take that floor. Maybe a little too unselfish with the basketball that time.
Again, full court pressure here for Los Altos. Stapes drives through a double team, gets it over to Benedetti, who nearly throws away. Trying to save it was Rosenbaum, but it'll be back to the Lancers. Lead at 3-2. 3 fouls called in this game so far, 2 against St. Francis, 1 against the Eagles. Frazier has the right wing. High post, here's Benedetti, feeds Stapes in the post. Stapes turns, had it blocked and taken away by Malgacini. Malgacini accelerates in the front court, number 33 working on number 33. Rosenbaum drives, cut off, shovels it to Lamont, cross court to Malgacini, takes the deep 3, that's a brick, rebounded by Stapes. Stapes, and he nearly carried the ball, has to pick it up, and lobs it to Frazier. Cuts it over to Garrett for three. Good for Brian Garrett. 6-2 Lancers.
And that time, St. Francis, although a little trouble breaking the press once they did, found the open man in the corner. And if you're going to press for Los Altos, got to get back on defense after St. Francis breaks that pressure. Easy corner look there for St. Francis.
Landman with it. Hands off to Upaluri. Garvik pump fakes into the paint. Over to Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum drives into the paint all the way. Layup, around and out, but he was fouled by Noah Stapes. First on Stapes, third on St. Francis.
And again, Los Altos aggressively trying to take it to the rim. First it was Garvik, now Rosenbaum taking it all the way to the hole, able to draw some contact, get himself to the line.
4:36 left the first quarter. It's now 6-3 St. Francis. With 3 points from Frazier and from Garrett each for the Lancers. Rosenbaum connects on both free throws, and it's 6-4. Approaching 4.5 to go in the first. Benedetti lobs it to Lewis. Lewis into the front court. Lewis accelerates over to Stapes, open three. Back iron miss, long rebound, tracked down by Landman. Stapes thought he had the rebound, but couldn't get it. Rosenbaum back the other way. Cross it over. Stops and travel. Turnover Los Altos. He'll go back to the Lancers.
Los Altos a little surprising. Malgicini only taking one shot here. He is their leading scorer along with Garvik. That's how most of the Los Altos offense is run through, those two players. But so far we've seen a lot of Rosenbaum handling the ball on the perimeter. We'll see if that continues as this game goes on.
Benedetti accelerates over to Garrett. Garrett stops. Garrett around a screen. Garrett lobs it high. Good catch by Frazier. Feeding Benedetti, who spins to the paint. Left-handed floater is good. I don't know how. Benedetti got it to go. 8-4. Garvik over to Upaluri into the front court. And his pass, bad one, deflected right back to him. Bouncing it to Garvik into the paint. Good, strong dribble, and then had that partially blocked. Frazier kicks it out to Garrett. Garrett all the way, accelerates to the paint. Left-handed runner is good off glass. Brian Garrett with 5 points early.
Talk about a tough angle on that layup attempt. I don't know how he was able to contort his body to get a look at the bank shot there on the layup attempt. As you see, out in transition, Lancers running up and down the court quite well here, and then not really facing the basket completely. Kind of flipped it up with some English off the glass, got it to go with his left hand, and gives the Lancers an early 10-4 advantage here in the first quarter.
So with 3:26 here first quarter, we, KMVT Sports, would like to thank our All Sports presenting sponsor, the Palo Alto Medical Foundation, part of the Sutter Health Network. Choose your path doctor today. So 3:26 left first quarter. It's 10-4 in favor of St. Francis. The final standings in the SFAL of the Deanta League, 10-2 for Los Altos. They won it. And you see St. Francis finished third from the bottom at just 3-11 in the WCAL standings. But that league obviously so tough with the second place finisher, St. Ignatius, playing in the second semifinal here against Wilcox. So that's a little bit different. You look at St. Francis' overall record, 15-12, doesn't wow anyone, but they were 10-1 out of league, 3-11 in league. So big discrepancy there. Rosenbaum around a screen after the timeout. Garvik pump fakes into the paint, looks, leans in and gets it to go. Somehow Stephen Garvik floated that in. He now has 4.
Yeah, it looked like he tried to force that a little bit, but felt he knew where he was on the court. And body control, so important in high school basketball. A lot of players out of control. Garvik that time completely under control, knew exactly what type of shot he wanted there and drained it.
Garrett drives, kicks out to Benedetti, open three, short. Peter Hewitt, who's checked back in, or in for the first time, almost had that rebound. Rosenbaum clears, over to Malgicini. Hewitt on the double, over to Rosenbaum for three, back iron miss, rebound deflected around, comes to Benedetti. Lobs it to Lewis, Lewis 2-on-1 at the air, shovel pass to Frazier, lays it in. What great teamwork St. Francis has displayed in this first quarter.
Yeah, and on the fast break too, right there, Lewis, beautiful pass. That is a next level type pass in transition, able to create the easy layup and maintain the 6-point advantage.
Rosenbaum over to Upaluri in the wing. Now here's Garvik. Garverick outside the Rosenbaum, who pump fakes and traveled. It's a good call. He took that little jump after he caught the basketball.
Second time that Rosenbaum's done that, but on the fast break, again, St. Francis looking very comfortable out in transition. Beautiful cut to the rim there by Frazier, and again, the pass from Lewis right on the money.
Approaching 2 minutes left, first quarter. And checking in for the first time is Matthew Tripaldi. He runs point guard. Garrett into the paint. Tough jump stop, gets it to go. Brian Garrett is on fire. That's half of the Lancers' points. Blurry back to Rosenbaum. 14-6, St. Francis leads. Rosenbaum to Landman. Landman pounding the dribble, hands off. Here's Rosenbaum who pump fake, or Garverick who pump fake, now drives, floats one off, but way too strong, rebounded by Hewitt. Tripaldi lobs it up ahead to Frazier. Frazier catches, lobs it to Stapes who pump fake. Stapes steps back. Stapes working on Garverick, gets it to Garrett. Garrett, right wing. Pump faking, now 18 to shoot. Garrett falls down, but somehow gets to Tripaldi. 10 to shoot. First late cock situation for St. Francis. Tripaldi holds the ball, bouncing it to Stapes with 7. Stapes has to go at 5, takes about a 25-footer. Way off, rebounded by Frazier. Another second chance, lobs it to Garrett. Stapes wants to reset, under a minute to play first quarter. A quarter dominated by the Lancers. Garrett to Stapes. Stapes stops, rotates to Tripaldi, 20 to shoot. Bouncing it to Stapes. High post, here's Frazier. Trying to feed Hewitt, bad pass, taken away by Garverick, and now he pushes. Garverick in on Frazier, gets it blocked, but a blocking foul's called on Alex Frazier.
You see Garverick continuing to be aggressive going towards the rim, and for Los Altos, their half-court D has been actually excellent here in the first quarter. It's been the transition defense that has killed them, and this time Los Altos able to get out in transition. Garverick able to get himself to the free throw line.
First free throw is around and down for Stephen Garverick. Makes it 14-7, 37.6 seconds left in the opening quarter. Winner takes on either St. Ignatius or Wilcox in the finals on Saturday, March the 8th. 14 fouls now on St. Francis. That was the first on Frazier. Second free throw also good by Garverick, and Christopher Lewis returns, replacing Garrett, who played very well here in the first quarter so far with 7 points. 14-8, St. Francis leads. They can hold for almost the final look of the first quarter. There's about a 2.6 second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. Left wing, Benedetti up top to Tripaldi. Now back to Benedetti. They play a catch out top near the Santa Clara logo. There's 15 to shoot now for Lewis. Around a screen, Lewis drives. Now steps back, 10 to shoot. Lewis wants to go on lay, who's checked in for the first time. Now around a screen, Stapes double team, lobs to Tripaldi, a 28-footer, it's personally blocked. Chen the rebound, 2 seconds, he loses it. Benedetti forces one up, high over everyone, bodies flying everywhere. And we have reached the end of the first quarter. A bad or weird-looking end to that first quarter, but it was dominated for the most part by St. Francis, and after a quarter, it is the Lancers 14 and the Eagles 8.
As a busy mom of 3 kids, I find it extremely convenient to access My Health Online. My Health Online's messaging service allows me to keep in close contact with our doctor.
Being able to email the doctor with questions gave us assurance that they do take an interest in the patients. That's why we've been with Penn for more than 10 years and keep adding members, the newest member.
Ready to start the second quarter here from Santa Clara High School with St. Francis in front of Los Altos, 14-8. And really a first quarter that was dominated by St. Francis on the glass and in transition, and that's why they have the 6-point lead.
No question about it. And for Los Altos, only 8 points. Well, their leading scorer, Joey Malgicini, 0. This is a guy who averages 18 points per contest. We'll see if he can get something going as we start the second quarter.
And the only statistical category where Los Altos has an advantage in this first half is team fouls. 4 have been called against St. Francis, just 1 on the Eagles. Chen out there with Malgacini, Keller, Landman, and Sammy Nassif. Chen over to Malgacini, pump fake, steps inside the arc for a deep 2, gets it to go for Joey Malgacini, his first bucket, and it's 14-10.
Beautiful move there. St. Francis has to respect that three-point threat that Malgacini creates, able to just step in, take the long contested 2, and drain it.
Now Tripaldi gets swung over to Hewitt, back to Tripaldi. Tripaldi crossing over, Tripaldi lobs it over to Stapes, step back, and no, he traveled. He nailed the 3 too, but he traveled first, turnover. Frazier returns, replacing Peter Hewitt.
I know Stapes wanted the 3 in that instance, but he was wide open for that too. He just took it right away. No chance to get a traveling call. And it looked like he was going to be in rhythm after the nice pass from Tripaldi.
The front court goes Malgacini. All of a sudden, Los Altos just down by 4. 7 minutes to play in the half. Malgacini over to Rosenbaum. Swings over to Nassif. Nassif had nearly added Stolen, and they get it over to Keller. Swings it over to Rosenbaum. Malgacini swings it over to Chen. Deliberate possession here, and a wild shot by Rosenbaum, way too strong, and a foul on the rebounding activity be called against the Lancers. And I believe they get Matthew Tripaldi for his second.
Without Garvik in the game, Los Altos needs to find somewhere to go offensively to look to drive. Players just passing around the perimeter right here on this possession. We'll see if someone steps up, able to take the ball to the hoop.
Correction, that was his first personal, 15 foul on St. Francis. Now we have a timeout. I'm not sure this is for the blood of Tripaldi who left the court, or if it's a called timeout by St. Francis. In any case, we thank the Palo Alto Medical Foundation for their continued support of KMVT's high school sports coverage. So during this timeout, it will be Los Altos basketball out of bounds with 6:47 left in the half, and they trail by 4. 5 team fouls have been called now against St. Francis, just the 1 on Los Altos, and the only bucket in this quarter belonging to Malgacini and the Eagles.
Well, you have to like the defense from the Lancers so far. Los Altos only 10 points. They have averaged around upwards of 55 in their last 10 games or so, and even had an 85-point performance earlier in the season against or at Milpitas. So this is a Los Altos offense that is explosive. St. Francis hasn't had as much experience winning this year, but is the higher seed, number 2 seed compared to Los Altos, the 3 seed. St. Francis, very good defensive team, very balanced team offensively, have a lot of different areas where they can score from. So we've seen that on display already for St. Francis. You can see the ball movement for the Lancers quite good, and you can see why they would be a tough cover for the Eagles.
Definitely. And I'm not sure what's going on. All the players are back out on the court, but for Los Altos, they're standing right at midcourt, which would suggest some sort of technical foul was called, but I didn't see any signal from the officials that a technical was called. This has been a long delay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on here. We'll see if there's any indication from the referees.
Well, Tripaldi, following that foul that was called on him, got whacked in the nose, and as blood was coming down out of his nose.
And that's they're cleaning up the court, I think.
That's
what the delay
that's
they
what
need
the
to
delay
get
is.
The correct cleaning solution out there. Try and wipe up that blood on the floor.
6:47 left in the first half. And it looks like Tripaldi and the trainers are having a little difficulty stopping the blood. But we should be back to action pretty shortly after this is cleaned up. There was a timeout called by St. Francis. So each team has called one first half timeout so far. But once we come back to action, it will be Los Altos basketball underneath their own hoop.
You hate to dirty up someone else's court. We're here at Santa Clara High School, so neither team at home, obviously. But they call it the blue hole here. Getting a red stain, unfortunately, on this beautiful blue hole that's presented in front of us.
Yeah.
And apparently there was quite a bit of blood gushing from Tripoli. Hope he's okay. I don't know if it was, you think it was a nosebleed or something to that effect. Usually that's the type of situation that will create that much blood on the floor. But referees and the coaches definitely want to make sure that everything is taken care of in terms of stopping any infectious diseases from spreading during the game.
Well, there's definitely blood coming from the nose. Looked like he might have taken an elbow from one of the Los Altos players. But anyhow, it's Malgacini to inbound to Chen. Hand gets it back, lobs it over to Rosenbaum with pump fakes. Inside, Garvin, good power dribble, goes up, rims it out, no good. Bound deflected off of Frazier. It will stay with the Eagles. Good hustle by Garvin.
Definitely, and that timeout allowed Garvin to get back into the ball game right away, being aggressive again. Good look around the rim. Didn't get it to fall that time, but that shot's going to fall more often than not for Garvin.
Malgacini off the inbound jump puck short. Flying in with Lamb and couldn't get it. Rebound deflected to Lewis. Lewis attacks into the paint all the way. Layup. No. Rebounded by Malgacini. Malgacini back the other way. Lewis in pursuit. Malgacini steps back, looks, lobbed it for Garverick, and they'll say it was not deflected by St. Francis. But Bob McFarland is out at midcourt saying that it was deflected.
Well, I mean, for Malgacini, double team there, trying to find the open man down low. It was a good idea, and I guess that ball just wasn't tipped. It looked like a St. Francis player tried to tip that ball as it was thrown into the low post. Refs say he didn't get enough of a hand on it.
Benedetti gets the pass and floats around, no, rebound deflected around, Frazier has it, goes back up and lays it in with the right hand. 16-10 Lancers.
Nice job by Frazier sticking with the play. We've seen that a couple times. He's been aggressive on the offensive boards, and that's led to a couple baskets for St. Francis.
Malgacini pounding the dribble, gets it over to Chen. Chen back to Malgacini. Malgacini pounding the dribble all the way, then help comes late, and he gets fouled going up. He'll be at the line, shooting two.
For St. Francis, they've been attacking the rim all game long. A couple of those layup attempts a little wild there, but Frazier sticking with the play, getting the layup to go.
Malgacini makes the first. A very good free throw shooting club are the Eagles. 16-11 Lancers. 5:32 left, second quarter. 16 fouls on St. Francis now. One on the Lancers, or one on the Eagles. Malgacini makes both. 4-point game again. Lewis into the front court, gets it to Garrett, who's checked in with his 7 points. Cross it over all the way, layup, round it down with the left hand, and that was too easy. Keller has it deflected in the backcourt by Stapes. Now he gets it over to Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum into the front court, stops. As his team trails by 6 now. Garverick over to Chen, drives baseline, help comes late, he floats around way too strong, no good, rebounded Frazier. Over to Lewis. Lewis into the paint. Floats around with the left hand, no good, but a foul's called. It'll be on Thomas Keller his first.
I wonder if Los Altos realizes some of these St. Francis players are left-handed. You've seen Lewis, whose strong hand is his left, take it hard with that hand, and then earlier, Garrett also taking it hard with his left hand.
Lewis makes the first. It's 19-12 St. Francis now as Keller leaves. Rog Upaluri returns. So it's Upaluri with Chen, Malgacini, Rosenbaum, and Garverick on the court for the Los Altos. Lewis makes both free throws. This matches St. Francis' largest lead of the game now at 8. Here's Malgacini. Malgacini in the front court. Gets it over to Chen. Chen pounding the dribble over to Garverick. Garverick around a double screen. Malgacini around another screen. Stops. Looks. Stop, still stop, and it gives it to Chen. Upalari to Garvin. Garvin crosses over. Garvin spins, looks. Help comes out to Chen for three. Good for Johnny Chen. Doesn't score a lot, but that's a huge shot there for Chen.
No question, huge confidence boost, especially after he missed that layup too strong down the trip earlier.
Garrett's high floater off glass and in, and he's been on fire. Has exactly half of the Lancers' points, now with 11. Back comes Malgicini. Team down by 7 now. Hands off to Garverick. We'll make that Rosenbaum around a Garverick screen. Rosenbaum spins into the paint, floats it up, a wild shot, foul. He gets bailed out with a foul call, and Mike Boteil is about to lose it. He's complaining about a non-travel that was called, although it was very close, I'll say that.
Yeah, we've seen Rosenbaum shuffle his feet a couple times. It's been called. This time, no call on a little bit of a shuffle as he went up for the shot. Looked like he moved his pivot foot, but still was skilled enough to make it appear like it was one motion, and definitely there was some contact after that little shuffle of the feet.
Chen exits, and returning is Lambie Landman. Tripaldi returns now, replacing Benedetti. That was the 17th foul in St. Francis, so for the final 350, Eagles will be shooting free throws. Good. Rosenbaum makes both. 5-point game. Christopher Lewis and the St. Francis Lancers have it. Garrett left wing. Garrett over to Tripaldi. Now Frazier, right wing. Frazier to Stapes. Rotates Lewis, a three. Around and out. Rebounded by Garverick. Good box out that time by Stephen Garverick. Into the front court goes Malgicini. Stutters, crosses over, looks, feeds Garverick. Garverick bouncing, spinning, floats one up short. Lamb in the offensive board, and he lays it up and in. 22-19.
Tough shot from Landman, too. Looked like he was falling down as he took that shot, but still had a nice soft touch to be able to bank it off the glass, cut this deficit to just 3.
Frazier crosses over now, baseline, double, comes, deflected and stolen. Malgicini, a 2-on-2, sidesteps, floats one up, off glass, around and out. Rebounded by Garrett. Oh, that would have been big for the Eagles. Garrett drives, lobs it, Tripaldi, a 3, back iron miss. Rebound, Frazier had it blocked, gets it back, up and in for Alex Frazier, who's been monster on the boards.
His motor is unrelenting here in the first half. First effort, that one was blocked, but he stayed with the play, able to get the second effort to go, and Los Altos kind of stuck to the floor there. No chance to jump up again that high.
Rosenbaum to Garverick. Now for 3, around and out, rebounded by Stapes, and he loses it. I'll say off of Stapes. Mike Boteil is still not happy with the referees.
Yeah, I think he wanted a foul called on that one, for sure.
I couldn't tell from that angle.
That was a tough
tough
call for the refs either way to see if he hit ball or hit the arm, but it did go off the St. Francis player afterwards for sure.
After the block, Stapes back the other way, lobs it to Tripaldi. He'll take a deep 3, sure. NBA range that time, Malgicini lobs it up and Rosenbaum. 1-on-1 on Tripaldi, gets fouled. No, but an intentional foul is going to be called on Matthew Tripaldi. His second foul, but this will be 2 free throws and the ball for the Eagles. Could be a huge turning point.
No question, Tripaldi deciding to take the long 3. That enables Rosenbaum to get out in transition. And yeah, you could see kind of 2 hands grabbing at Rosenbaum. I think that's the correct call. That was definitely an intentional foul there from Tripaldi.
So it could be as much as a 5-point possession now. They began this possession with being down 5 points. Rosenbaum, an excellent free throw shooter at the line. Makes both. So it's 24-21. Favor St. Francis, and now Los Altos will have the ball back following the flagrant foul.
It's interesting, Los Altos opting to take their 2 leading scorers, Gavrick and Malgicini, off the court here with just 2 minutes to go in the half. Chance to really build some momentum, as you said, either a 4 or 5 point possession. But their 2 leading scorers off the court, we'll see if they can get anything going offensively.
Pass deflected. Here's Jason Kabuti in for the first time. Booty gets it over to Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum around the screen, stops. And his pass deflected and stolen by Tripaldi. Tripaldi in on Kabuti. Floats one, no, but he was fouled. Now it is Bob McFarland's turn to be unhappy with the call.
Well, Tripaldi, he's missed a couple long threes already in this contest, but he is instant offense off the bench for St. Francis. Gets the seal, gets out in transition, almost gets the and one to go from the tough angle on the baseline.
So Tripaldi will be at the line shooting 2. Chance to give his team a 5-point lead. Makes the first. Minute 41 left in the half. 25-21 St. Francis. Peter Hewitt returns, placing Christopher Lewis.
Maldacini also back into the contest. Still a little curious why Los Altos opted to take both him and Garvik out, but Maldacini now back in there for offensive purposes for sure.
You know, looked to me like Motil was trying to call a timeout, but actually it was just the defensive signals. After the missed free throw, Maldacini comes back the other way. Now stutters, drives baseline, floats one up, over Hewitt, a lot of contact, no foul called, and McFarland is irate. Back comes Garrett around the screen. I don't think either coach has been pleased with the officiating in this first half. Garrett over to Frazier. Frazier with his team up 4 to Garrett. With 75 seconds left, behind the back. Garrett all the way, floats one up, off glass and in for Brian Garrett. And the lead up to 6 now.
Los Altos has not been able to stop the drives of Garrett. He seems to be able to get anything he wants down in the paint off of his own dribble.
Chen's floater partially blocked and then it's loose and saved off of Chen by Frazier. Go back to St. Francis.
And we see Garrett continuing to attack offensively. Nice behind the back dribble, gets into the paint and then just floats it up and in before Landman can come up and contest that jump shot. The floater is becoming a bigger and bigger shot in basketball today for sure. It's something that almost every guard needs to have in their repertoire, and Garrett looks like he's got a good one going tonight for St. Francis.
Around a double screen, Tripaldi drives and tried to feed Frazier. It's taken away by Maldacini. Now he lobs it up and Chen alone lays it up and in. Johnny Chen with 5. Lead down to 4.
A nice look ahead from Maldacini. There was some traffic there in the backcourt. He was able to see over it and find a streaking Chen breaking out from the pack out in transition.
Garrett, who leads all scorers with 13 points into the front court. St. Francis is playing for the final shot as the Los Altos contingent is making lots of noise. Rosenbaum guarding Garrett. Garrett crossover, step back deep 2, way off, and he went way too early. Out of bounds will be Los Altos basketball with 8.5 seconds left. He went with about 15, and for that quick pull-up, left almost 9 seconds on the clock. Inbound goes to Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum had it deflected out of bounds. It almost looks like Hewitt was trying to foul, but they don't have any fouls to give, so that would have not been a smart play. Rosenbaum will inbound, 6.3 left. Maldacini in the front court at 4. Maldacini with 3, with 2, lanes in off. No, rebounded by Frazier, and that half comes to an end as one more conversation between Bob McFarland and one of the officials. A very entertaining first 16 minutes, and it results in a 4-point lead for St. Francis.
Most certainly, and we see Maldacini being the willing passer there, almost a full court pass as he found Chen right on the money, streaking down the court. Los Altos, for their struggles early in this first half, they've come back only a 4-point deficit right now. We've got ourselves a ball game coming into the second half.
Definitely. In that second quarter, it was Los Altos 15, St. Francis 13. And after 16 minutes of basketball, it's 27-23 Lancers.
Ever since we moved to the United States, Palo Alto Medical Foundation has been taking care of our health. We love our doctor. She is always ready to listen to us and is very professional and answers all our questions and is very reassuring. PAMF has been there not just for my own family, but for the whole community, whether they're seeing patients or providing doctors for our free medical clinic.
Since 1982, KMVT 15 has been providing media resources to the community. Yearly, we train over 300 youth through our video camps. We offer classes in all areas of media, from video to editing, photography, graphics, and much more. KMVT 15 is your community resource, connecting communities through media.
Welcome back here to Santa Clara High School, where the score at halftime, St. Francis 27, Los Altos 23. Time now for the halftime highlights.
Yeah, let's start with St. Francis. First of all, Alex Frazier has gotten it going down low on the perimeter for the Lancers. He's been a beast on the offensive glass, this time getting the little floater in the lane to go. And then out in transition, that has been the Lancers' strong point, especially in that first quarter. And as we see, Brian Garrett has been money from wherever he's shooting the ball. For the Eagles, Steven Garvrick has gotten some good looks down in the post. Some of them haven't gone, as they usually do. Some of them have, like that jump shot. And then looking ahead to the second half, they're going to need more. Joey Malgicini, 18 points a game, only 4 in the first half. We'll see if the microwave can heat up here at Santa Clara High School.
So with REK, I am Andrew Ferry. We are ready for second half basketball. Winner into the final on Saturday evening against either St. Ignatius or Wilcox. I will preface by saying St. Ignatius is the big favorite in that second semifinal. Benedetti up top, St. Francis with the first possession of the second half. Pass deflected out off of Upalari. Stay with the Lancers, who lead it by 4, 27-23. Benedetti will inbound. All 5 starters for both teams are out on the floor to begin the third. Lewis bouncing it to Stapes, who tried to feed Benedetti, and then it's trying saving it and throwing it away to Garvrick. Garvrick stops, pump fakes, looks over to Upalari. Upalari to Malgicini. Malgicini pounding the dribble. Hands off to Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum stops over to Upalari. Upalari to Garvrick. Garvrick looks, and he throws it to no one on his team. Mahanovic the steal. Back comes Frazier over to Lewis. Lewis drives all the way around over to Stapes, who pump fake. Step back 3. Around and out, no good. Rebound deflected to Mahanovic, who lays it in. Now they'll set their press. Mahanovic just played a minute and a half of that first half, though, and picked up 2 early fouls. Sat the rest. Here's Garvrick over to Landman. Landman to Malgicini. Malgicini bouncing it high post to Landman. Landman driving on Mahanovic, had it ripped away. Good steal. Benedetti up ahead to Stapes to a 1 all the way. He'll take it himself and lay it in. Lead up to 8, matches the largest of the game.
You see Mahanovic, big time impact here in the second half. As you said, only 1 minute of play. It looks like he was anxious to get back into this ball game. Made his presence felt both on the defensive end of the court and the offensive end.
Malgicini pounding the dribble, now dribbles right wing. Bouncing it high post to Rosenbaum, who stutters. Takes the foul line jumper, back iron miss, rebounded, deflected around, comes to Malgicini, lays it up, no, but it was fouled. Malgicini will be at the line shooting 2. If it's Mahanovic, it's his 3rd.
And I think it is Mahanovic, so that's a big blow for the Lancers here early in the second half. But good defensive effort for sure for the Lancers. They've come out with a lot of energy, starting the fast break, and then Upalori was completely fooled on that fake pass by Stapes, and the much larger Stapes able to lay it up and in.
First free throw good by Malgicini. Los Altos now perfect 10 for 10 from the line. 11 for 11. Lead at 6 for St. Francis, who's led ever since the opening 10. They have never trailed, but have never led by more than 8. Frazier over to Benedetti, back to Frazier. Frazier pounding the dribble, foul line jumper, air ball out of bounds to Los Altos. Terrible shot that time by Frazier, who played very well in the first half with 9 points.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad shot attempt. It looked like he just lost the ball on the way up to try and get that foul line jumper to go.
Rosenbaum against man-to-man full court pressure. St. Francis during the regular season didn't press very often, but they pressed most of the game here tonight. Rosenbaum bounding the dribble, now gets it over to Upalari. Good feed to Malgicini, stopped, jumper gone! Somehow got it to go over Frazier. Lead back to the halftime lead of 4 for St. Francis.
And Malgicini likes that baseline jumper. That's his sweet spot on the floor. You can see he was kind of open at first, but wanted to get to his normal baseline jump shot, able to get it to go.
Great feed from Frazier to Lewis, who lays it in. Lead at 6. That quiets the crowd momentarily. Pouncing the dribble is Malgicini in the front court. Los Altos again down by 6, 33-27, under 5 minutes to play in the third quarter. Malgicini to Opaluri. Rosenbaum inside to Garvik, who steps back. His baseline jumper way off. Rebounded by Stapes. Back comes St. Francis. Stapes pouncing the dribble around the screen. Now drives in the paint, stops, tried to feed Mihanovic, it's out of bounds. Turnover St. Francis. Brian Garrett will return, replacing Joe Mihanovic.
And Mihanovic signaled my bad on that one. Good idea there from Stapes. Mihanovic just wasn't ready to secure that pass and follow through on his cut to the rim.
Inbound pass goes off of Stapes. Wow, that's something you typically see in the pros. Here's Garvik, a 3, short, rebounded by Lewis. Lewis bouncing it to Garrett, and he stops and backs it out. Now lobs a one-handed to Stapes, open. Stapes will drive all the way, will float one up high off glass. No, rebounded by Garvik. He pushes it up into Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum back to Garvik, who lays it up. No, but he was fouled. And they're going to get Brian Garrett, who doesn't like it. Garrett gets called for the foul.
Well, for the Lancers, we've seen a couple of shot attempts that they've passed up. That time, Stapes taking it to the hole, even though he had the open 3 attempt. That led to Los Altos getting out in transition. Garvik continuing to be aggressive, missed a couple jump shots. That doesn't stop him from taking it hard to the hole in transition.
Free throw's good for Garvik. Makes it 33-28 St. Francis. His second team foul on St. Francis, just the first on Garrett. No team fouls yet on Los Altos, and we played almost half of the third quarter. Garvik back rims that free throw. First miss of the game at the foul line for Los Altos. Benedetti the rebound, and now he attacks, hands off to Stapes. Stapes pump fakes. Over to Garrett. Garrett guarded by Garvik. Now into the paint, floats one out to Lewis, who pump fakes. Lewis, jump stop, left-hand floater, way wild. Rebound deflected to Frazier, and still loose. Malgicini saves it, and no Polari. They can make it a one-possession game with a bucket here. Garvik in the front court. Stops over to Upalari. They'll reset with Malgicini out top. 3.5 to play, third quarter. Malgicini between the legs dribble. Crossing over. Now around the screen to the left, pulls up for 3, around and out, over Landman to offensive board. Gets it out to Rosenbaum. Lobs it into Landman. Out to Garvik, who pump fakes. Garvik into the paint all the way, left-hand layup. No, missed that. Landman the rebound, but he's going to get called for a foul, and McFarland is hot.
Well, Landman, good job on the offensive glass once. Tried to do it again. As you see the miss from Garvik, I mean, he was wide open for that layup attempt. I think he wants to have that one back. Landman a little bit of a shove in the back, and I think the right call. Los Altos hasn't been called for too many fouls in this game. They've gone mostly on the Lancers. This time the Eagles get caught with their first foul call of the quarter.
So that was also the first called on Landman. Lewis over to Frazier right wing. Benedetti high post. Benedetti looks. Bouncing it into Frazier, who spins, floater, off glass, no, rebound deflected around, comes to Malgicini. Malgicini pushes into the front court. Malgicini behind the back dribble, crossing over. Malgicini still crossing over. One man, not a lot of movement, now pulls up for a deep toe, go! A worst offensive possession of the night, and Malgicini hits a jumper.
And you can see his release and his jumping ability is just so quick. He's able to get off the floor, get his jump shot pretty much whenever he wants without too much of a contest from the defender unless he knows it's coming.
Landman deflected that last pass out. It's still 3-point lead.
And you can see Malgicini able to create offense with the ball in his hands. We haven't seen him take too many shots in this game. Hasn't controlled the ball too much, but when he does and is able to be in rhythm for his jump shot, it's a sweet-looking stroke.
Benedetti will inbound, gets it into Garrett. Under 2.5 to play in the third quarter. Garrett drives all the way, floats over the left hand, back out of miss. Didn't know. Mihanovic another chance. Had it ripped away. Still loose on the floor. Bodies flying everywhere. Keller tied up. with Hewitt and a couple other Lancers. Possession arrow gives it to the Eagles and a chance to tie with a 3.
Mahanovic doing a great job getting position inside, but the Eagles right now playing with a lot of intensity. We see Malgicini diving to the floor there, along with his fellow Eagles players. And Los Altos, a little bit of momentum here. We'll see if they can take advantage, perhaps get within 1 or tie this game on this possession.
2:19 left third quarter. It's 33-30 St. Francis. There's 27-23 at halftime. Rosenbaum will inbound, gets it in to Keller, back to Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum out there with Keller, Malgicini, Johnny Chen, and Lambie Landman. Now going on top from Mahanovic. Here is Chen back to Rosenbaum, who swings it and pump faking his Malgicini. Stops, back to Rosenbaum, into the paint, floats one up, off glass it in for Daniel Rosenbaum. It's a one-point game, closest Los Altos been since it was 3-2.
And you can see the pressure applied to Malgicini. That allowed a lane for Rosenbaum, get into the paint, get to his strong right hand, and bank it off softly off the glass.
Hewitt left wing. Hewitt locks, spins. Hewitt hands off to Garrett, who's not scored here in the second half. Garrett cross it over. Garrett in on Keller, and a bump will be called. And I don't think McFarland will give a refs a break.
No, not this time. But you can see Malgicini, 2 defenders go at him. Rosenbaum open on the top of the key, able to drive to the hole and bank it up and in with the soft floater.
Bob McFarland, that good to Los Altos, didn't like the call, but it appeared on that replay that it was definitely foul on Keller. And now a timeout called by St. Francis. They have 3 left for the game. Los Altos still with 4. With 1:33 left, third quarter, KMVT thanks our sponsor, the Palo Alto Medical Foundation, for bringing you this season of high school sports coverage. Choose your PAMF doctor today. So 1:33 left, and in this quarter, it's been a 9-6 advantage favoring Los Altos, and they are currently on a 9-2 run.
Yeah, I think Los Altos, first of all, not turning the ball over quite as much, limiting St. Francis's transition attempts, and their half-court defense is pretty solid, creating stops, creating some turnovers of their own, and pretty much putting a stop to the scoring that was Brian Garrett in the first half. They kept him under wraps. Looks like he and Frazier might be a little tired. Frazier especially, he's not getting out on jump shooters on defense. So we'll see if that continues as this game wears on.
Tripaldi's checked back in with the inbound. Gets it into Stapes. 1.5 minutes to go third quarter. Crossing over to Stapes to Garrett. Garrett wants to reset, guarded by Upalari. Garrett stutters, floats, and trying to spread the double team, and another foul's called.
Wow, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that one looked a bit questionable.
Looked like Upalari had a perfect reach in there, got a lot of ball, that's for sure. Upalari, who's known for his defense, and I think they called it with his other hand, perhaps dragging Garrett to the ground, but the strip, I think, was before that second hand touched Garrett.
Yep. And now we have a meeting with the referees following that foul call. And I think they have a wet spot they need to clean up. That's the issue there. Or something. Yeah, wet spot they need to clean up. So 1:22 left third quarter. 33-32 St. Francis. Everything as advertised in this one, at least so far. 2 team fouls on St. Francis. 3 now called against the Eagles. That was the first on Upalari.
Yeah, and the low foul call, that might favor St. Francis moving forward. Los Altos, as we've seen tonight, a fantastic free throw shooting team. They've converted all but one of their attempts from the free throw line. So close games coming down the stretch. A lot of times it's going to come down to free throws. So if you're St. Francis, you're hoping it doesn't turn into a free throw battle with these Eagles.
We still have an issue cleaning up something on the court.
It might be blood again from Tripaldi. I know he was working with some tissues in his nose, so that nosebleed giving him troubles once again.
But Tripaldi staying in the game with Mahanovic, Stapes, Hewitt, and Garrett for St. Francis. It is Chen, Rosenbaum, Malgicini, Upalari, and Landman for Los Altos. St. Francis ball leading by 1. Stapes will inbound. Good feed into Mahanovic. Double team comes. Fords one up short. Rebounded loose inside. Comes to Rosenbaum. Foul's called. And it's called on Joe Mahanovic, his fourth. Fourth on Mahanovic. Third team foul on St. Francis.
And a silly foul. Rosenbaum completely had possession of that ball, just trying to reach in as Mahanovic wasn't able to convert probably a shot he feels he should have made. So that's a big loss again for the Lancers. Mahanovic, when he's been in the game, he's been a key piece for St. Francis.
Now bouncing it into the front court goes Malgacini. They can take the lead with a score here. Rosenbaum over to Chen. Chen right wing back to Rosenbaum. Swings it over to Malgacini, who pump fakes. Malgacini stops and spins over to Rosenbaum. Now Chen right wing. Chen over to Malgacini. Malgacini stutters. Baseline jumper. Rounded out. Rebounded Tripaldi. Tripaldi into the front court. Crossing over against Upaluri. Tripaldi bouncing it to Frazier. Frazier pounding the dribble. Over to Tripaldi. 35 seconds left in the quarter. Lobs it to Frazier. Frazier into the paint all the way. Floats up. Good for Alex Frazier. Lead out to 3. Final shot time maybe for Los Altos. They get hold for it. First they need to break the timeline though. Front court goes Malgacini. 15 seconds left in the third quarter. They trail by 3. Malgacini to Chen. 10 seconds left. Over to Landman at 8. Cross court, Malgacini, a 3. Back iron miss. Tripaldi the rebound with 3. Tripaldi at 2. A 50-footer. Back iron miss. And we have reached the end of 3 quarters. A fantastic third quarter of momentum swings galore. Quarter won by Los Altos 9-8. And after 3 quarters, it is 35-32 St. Francis.
KMVT 15 provides an array of professional media services for businesses. Our video services include ribbon cuttings, grand openings, promotional, training, corporate culture, testimonial, and much more. By hiring our professional staff, you are helping to support our mission to provide resources and educational opportunities to the community. Give us a call today.
So we are back here at Santa Clara High School, ready for an exciting conclusion to this first semifinal. Winner takes on either St. Ignatius or Wilcox in Saturday's final of CCS. Benedetti with it for St. Francis, who lead by 3. Hands off to Garrett. Garrett spinning. Garrett in the paint. Stops, floater. Good for Brian Garrett, who did not score in the third quarter after having 13 first half points, now with 15.
Yeah, and he had a nice jump shot there. Garvik kind of on his heels, unable to contest that little jumper in the lane.
Now Upaluri's bumped, tripped, harmed, fouled by Tripaldi. This will be the second on Tripaldi.
And you can see this is what Garrett likes to do, get into the paint. And Garvik trying to reach in, thought Garrett was going to try and drive all the way to the hole, and set a jump shot and a silky smooth jumper to regain a 5-point lead for the Lancers.
Chen's 3 on the way, hit 1 in the first half, that time short. Benedetti rebounds, correction. That was the 3rd foul on Tripaldi, 14 foul in the half. Around the screen, Benedetti to Garrett, drives baseline, cut off. Now Hewitt rotates to Tripaldi, over to Benedetti. 7 minutes to go in regulation. Benedetti pounding the dribble to Frazier right wing. Frazier to Hewitt. Hewitt hounded out top by Garvik. Now Garrett around a screen for 3. Good for Brian Garrett. And again, that 8-point St. Francis lead. Timeout, Los Altos, as Garvik brings it in the front court. And it will be a full timeout.
Yeah, 5-0 run for Garrett alone here in the 4th quarter. And I'll tell you what, the senior not wanting his season to end by any means. Sweet stroke with the left hand, that time from 3-point range, his 2nd one of the game, to build this 8-point lead once again for the Lancers.
This game is brought to you with help from our presenting sponsor, the Palo Alto Medical Foundation, a Sutter Health affiliate. Choose your PAMF doctor today. So we have 6:42 left in regulation. It's now St. Francis. This is the 4th time they've led by exactly 8 points, but they haven't ever been able to get it more than 8 points. Every time it's been that 8-point advantage for St. Francis, Los Altos has had an answer or a run of some sort.
Yeah, and we've seen great defense from both teams that have kind of kept this game close. But we see St. Francis, their offense is starting to open up a little bit. Perhaps Los Altos, whose bench maybe isn't quite as deep as St. Francis, get some tired legs here in the fourth quarter. We'll have to see if Los Altos can respond again. And for Los Altos, St. Francis defensively looks like coming out with a lot of intensity. Saw Tripaldi, even though he was called for the foul, just hounding Upalori on their possession here in the fourth quarter. Maybe some back cuts are going to be available if St. Francis is going to overplay the Eagles players like that.
So Upalori will inbound. Again, Los Altos down 8, 40-32 with 6:42 left. Each team now left with 3 timeouts following this timeout called by Los Altos. Malgicini against what looks to be a 1-2-2 half-court trap. A foul is called on Peter Hewitt.
And for St. Francis, that is foul number 5, and they don't want to get into the bonus in this fourth quarter. Let the Eagles get some easy points at the free throw line. Trying to be aggressive on defense, and that's very understandable as that has been successful here early in the fourth quarter, but got to be careful not to foul the rest of the way. 2 more fouls, and it's bonus time for Los Altos.
Upalori inbounds to Rosenbaum. 6.5 to play. Rosenbaum, between the legs dribble. Stops, pump fakes, looks, lobs it to Malgicini. Malgicini in the paint all the way, floats one up short, rebounded inside by Benedetti. Back comes St. Francis, a chance to get that double-digit advantage. Inside here's Frazier. Frazier lobs it out to Tripaldi. Now he wants to reset. Tripaldi calms everything down. Lobs it to Frazier. Frazier spinning into the paint, out to Garrett for 3. Short, rebounded inside by Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum back the other way. Rosenbaum all the way, good feed inside to Chen, lays it in. Johnny Chen was 7 points off the bench now.
And I wondered if Rosenbaum saw Chen, but instead he did. He was just drawing the defenders towards him. Then with the silky smooth left-hand feed, found Chen for the easy deuce.
Now here's Frazier over to Benedetti right wing. Benedetti into Stapes. Stapes backing in on Malgicini, spins, turns, pump fake, goes up, tough shot, around and out, no good, deflected to Malgicini. Good defense that time by Joey Malgicini. Garvick back to Malgicini. 2-possession game as down by 6 are the Eagles. They have the ball. Malgicini crosses over, hands off to Chen. Chen around a screen to his left. Stops, looks, bouncing it into Rosenbaum, who spins, jump hook short, gets it back, layup, no good, but a foul's called. And I think if that late foul call wouldn't have happened, Bob McFarland would have lost a vein or two.
He might have. Los Altos is fighting for their lives right now. But Rosenbaum, being the distributor here tonight, finding Chen in transition, and then offensively getting to the low block. We haven't seen too much of that from him in this game, again, to the foul line.
First free there's good by Rosenbaum. He's now perfect. 7 for 7 at the line. 40-35. Favor of St. Francis. 16 fouls now on St. Francis, 3 on Los Altos. Rosenbaum gets a second free throw here to make it a 4-point game with 5:07 left. It is up and around and down. So 4-point game, and Stapes inbounds to Lewis. Lewis will jog it into the front court, the starting point guard, guarded by Johnny Chen, who's given the Eagles excellent minutes off the bench. Tripaldi with the right wing. Tripaldi bouncing it to Frazier. Frazier spins. Now jab step. Hands off to Tripaldi. Tripaldi over to Stapes right wing. Around the screen to those left. Jump pass to Frazier, who leads in and out of block by Rosenbaum. Malgicini back the other way. Nearly carried the ball. Stops. Lux over to Rosenbaum, who pump fakes in the paint all the way, muscles it up and in somehow. Daniel Rosenbaum got it to go. We have a 2-point game.
Looked like he was just trying to draw the foul there, but somehow flipped it up and in off the glass. We've seen Rosenbaum do that a couple times going to his right, finding the glass to bank it home.
Full timeout here for St. Francis as we check out the replay.
Yeah, Malgicini willing to be the distributor there. And honestly, nice defense there from Frazier for St. Francis. Rosenbaum just able to get around him, and then defensively, Los Altos bringing it. Nice block inside for Rosenbaum on that end. And so for Los Altos, I think they've been helped by St. Francis slowing the ball up a little bit here. St. Francis maybe trying to run some clock when they were up 8 with 6 minutes to go. And that's really hurt them as they tried to continue to build a lead. Instead, Los Altos, a little run of their own to cut it to 2.
Yeah, but they have never led in this game. So now the question is, can Los Altos get over the hump and take a lead? They have been tied once, and that was at 2-2. They were down 3-2 and 33-32. Those are the closest Los Altos has been since it was tied at 2. So really a game that feels like it's been dominated by St. Francis, yet Los Altos is right there, only down 2 with 4:18 left, getting another standing ovation as they come back onto the court following the timeout. 2 timeouts left for St. Francis, 3 for the Eagles. Upaluri out there with Chen, Rosenbaum, Malgicini, and Garverick for Los Altos. It's Frazier, Mahanovic, Lewis, Benedetti, and Garrett, who leads all scorers out there for St. Francis. Deflected pass, clock should have started, it never did. So let's see if they try to fix that or if they let the couple seconds go. Looks like they're going to leave the clock where it is, even though it never started off that deflected pass out of bounds. Benedetti will inbound, gets it into Frazier. Frazier hands off to Benedetti.
You see now Los Altos here in the second half, they've laid off that full court pressure a little bit once the ball is inbounded. That's allowed them to set up their defense a little bit better in the half court set.
A good pass inside to Frazier, who gets it inside, and the reverse layup goes for the righty. 42-38. St. Francis has an answer every time Los Altos has gone close. Rosenbaum over to Malgicini. Malgicini bouncing into the paint all the way. I mean, that was too easy. Layup good, down by 2. Lewis into the front court, 3:40 left. Lewis bouncing it to Frazier. Frazier to Benedetti. Benedetti back to Frazier. Frazier left wing to Mahanovic. Mahanovic back to Frazier. Good step into the paint. Missed the bunny off back rim. And now Garverick into the front court. Feeds Rosenbaum. Want to run play 1. Rosenbaum. Hands off to Malgicini. Approaching 3 minutes left. A good back cut to Chen. Reverse. No, he missed it. Rebounded by Frazier, and that would have tied the game.
Oh, wow, and a great look from Chen underneath the basket. Just not enough mustard to get it up and over the rim. Los Altos just hasn't been able to get over the hump here. Now they got to buckle down and play some D.
Garrett spinning, foul line jumper, good! What a shot by Brian Garrett, who now has 17. Have yourself a career night, Brian Garrett. Malgicini in front court against what is now a 2-3 zone. Here for St. Francis, thought about the 3, now Chen. High post, Rosenbaum spins, good recognition, but missed the layup and deflected out off of Frazier. Will stay with Los Altos.
We've seen when St. Francis needs a bucket here down the stretch, it has been Garrett every single time. Spin move. Again, nice decent defense from Upaluri, just a better offensive move from Garrett there to get the shot he wants, and the little man getting it done down near the low post area.
So timeout called here by St. Francis. This is a 30-second timeout with 2:26 rather to go in the fourth quarter. 44-40 St. Francis, and Los Altos will have the ball underneath their own hoop following this timeout. So we are coming down to the wire here. Santa Clara High School, and St. Francis led all the way, but have never really led by that much. Garrett's led them with 17 points. Frazier has added 11. So between those two players, they have accounted for 28 of the 44 St. Francis points.
Yeah, no surprise. The seniors stepping up for the Lancers, and I mean, all the seniors here playing for their high school basketball lives in this game. And Garrett has been getting it done. Frazier on the offensive glass for Los Altos. We'll see if some of their seniors like Malgicini and Garverick can start to perform offensively here in the last 2 minutes of the ballgame.
Driving, floating, and rimming it out was Malgicini. Good rebound inside by Frazier. So that timeout proves useful for Mike Motil. 4-point lead in the ball for the Lancers and Christopher Lewis. Right wing, here's Mahanovic. Trying to beat Hewitt, it was deflected. Hewitt corrals it. Hewitt spins, drives baseline, no one cuts it off, tried to dunk it but missed it, and loose out of bounds off of Hewitt. It will stay with Los Altos.
And for the underclassmen, Hewitt should have laid that one up and in. You want the big dunk to bring the house down, but with 2 minutes to go in the game, that's just ill-advised from the underclassmen to try and dunk it. Hewitt 6'8", or excuse me, 6'9", definitely has the hops to throw it down, but I think his coach in that instance definitely wants him to just finger roll that one into the bucket.
So under 2 minutes to play. 2 minutes of crunch time. Rosenbaum, left wing, Maldacini around a screen for three. Short, rebound, deflected. Somehow Rosenbaum corrals it to Chen. Into the paint, leans in, off glass, nobody was fouled. And Johnny Chen will be at the line shooting 2.
So the 5'10 senior, some crucial free throws here. But again, it's the offensive rebound by Rosenbaum. He's had a couple here in the fourth quarter, allowing Chen to draw the contact, get to the line. We'll see if he can make the free throws.
First one is nothing but nylon for Chen, who now has 8 points off the bench, 44-41, favor of St. Francis. In case you're keeping track at home, possession arrow favors St. Francis. Chen makes both, 2-point game again. Lewis, back to Benedetti. Can St. Francis answer one again? Lewis to Benedetti, left wing.
Let's see if they find Garrett here in the half-court set.
Garrett right now guarded by Upalori at the baseline, wearing number 25. Monovich now finds Garrett. Garrett, who leads all scorers, wants a Clara, wants to go one-on-one with Upalori. Now 9 to shoot. Crosser up, step back. Doesn't have it to Benedetti. Inside Frazier with 5. Frazier turnaround jumper, way off. Rebound deflected around, tipped. No, tip, up and in by Giuseppe Benedetti. A minute to go. Rosenbaum to push. Rosenbaum all the way, trying to pass it inside. It's taken away by Garrett. Now they can run some clock. And Garrett into the front court. Timeout called by Mike Motil. It will be his last timeout and a full timeout. Wow.
Yeah, that was frenetic there. We'll have to see on the replay, did that ball ever touch the rim? It looked like it might have just glanced off the rim there. And wow, I mean, what a tip inside there by Benedetti. Leaping up and almost a volleyball type tip off the glass. That's incredibly hard with defenders all around him. Yes,
and 51.9 seconds left in the fourth quarter. It's 46-42 St. Francis. With 17 fouls called on St. Francis, 3 on Los Altos. And now again, the Lancers are out of timeouts. That was the last one that could have been called. Los Altos still with 3 timeouts left.
And those 3 fouls for Los Altos, that might come into play here. They might want to send St. Francis to the line with only 51 seconds to go. See how the Lancers see from the free throw stripe. St. Francis hasn't had too many free throw attempts in this game, so you wonder if they're a little rusty perhaps from the line. But again, they're going to need 4 consecutive fouls even to send St. Francis to the foul line here.
Yeah, there's still enough time where you could play it out and get one more stop before you need to foul. There's about a 21-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. But let's see how they want to play it, because they still need to foul 4 times to send St. Francis to the foul line, which would then be 1-1. Giuseppe Benedetti will inbound, guarded by Rosenbaum. Let's see how the Eagles defensively plays it. Benedetti to inbound, gets it into Lewis, and they'll foul him immediately with Johnny Chen. That's the 4th. They need to inbound again. Now, basically, by doing that immediately, they have to foul this trip down and send St. Francis to the foul line with only a 15-second difference shot and game clock. Inbound goes to Garrett. Upalari was trying to foul him. Now it grabs him. 46.9 left. 5th team foul. Upalari, for him, is his 2nd.
And unfortunately, 2 extra seconds roll off the clock there because the refs didn't see that first foul that looked like Upalari committed.
Yeah. And every second, every half a second, critical coming down here in the stretch. And thrown away. Maldacini to the steal, so they get what they were looking for. Maldacini into the front court to make it a 1-possession game all the way. Layup. Good, and he was fouled! Wow, this changes things a little bit.
Just a little. making it a 2-point game with the free throw. Could be a 1-point game. Look at Malgicini driving in the lane, absorbs the contact, still able to throw it up and in with his right hand. I don't know how he kept his balance to flip that one up and in. But Malgicini, known perhaps a little more for his outside jump shot, getting it done, driving to the hole after the silly turnover from St. Francis.
So to make it a 1-point game. It's back iron miss, he missed it. Rebound tracked down by Frazier. They have to foul at some point and they grab Benedetti. Benedetti trying to point, saying he already passed it, but definitely a foul grab there for Steven Garverick. Still only 6 team fouls, so they have one more to give before they start shooting free throws.
And a surprising miss from Malgicini. He's a 73% free throw shooter. He's made 91 free throws on the season, so I know the senior wants to have that one back, but still, the turnover, just a 2-point game. If St. Francis just makes 1 of 2 from the line, Los Altos is going to have a chance to tie this ball game up.
Now a full timeout called by Los Altos. We'll take it with them. 33.8 seconds left. It is 46-44 Lancers. RK and Andrew Ferry back with you for the exciting conclusion. 33.8 seconds left. St. Francis with the ball and a 2-point lead, 46-44. Next foul by Los Altos will send St. Francis to the line for a 1-and-1. But the question is, can they get another steal and not even have to foul? There's still enough time to trap in the backcourt and waste about 5-7 seconds before fouling. Benedetti inbounds to Garrett. Garrett, and then he's reached in and grabbed and fouled by Chen. So with 31.4 left, it'll be Garrett at the line shooting a 1-on-1. St. Francis leads by 2.
So Garrett, who's been clutch this entire game for St. Francis, trying to hit the free throws to seal this one perhaps. We'll see how he does at the free throw line. 1-and-1. Pressure's always on this first free throw attempt.
And it's good. So Garrett, the senior, knocks it in. This is the big one, too, because then it would make it a 2-possession game. That was just the 7th team foul on Los Altos. And it's good. So Garrett makes both. 48-44 St. Francis. Hewitt returns for defense, and he replaces Garrett. Now we have another timeout called by Los Altos. They are left with 1, and St. Francis out of timeout. So this is a 30-second timeout. So key for Los Altos, get a quick score, whether it be a 2 or 3. Really doesn't matter. They need a quick score.
No question. 31 seconds, still a lot of time. You can get that quick, too. No guarantee that St. Francis will make any free throws. They're still in the 1-and-1, and I think that's a good move by St. Francis, bringing Hewitt back into the game. You have your 6'9", big defender, tall defender down low. Don't make it easy for Los Altos to get a 2-point shot, although fouling would definitely be the wrong play here for St. Francis. We've seen St. Francis a couple of careless fouls down the stretch here, and Los Altos is a good free throw shooting team. I'm sure that's what Mike Motil was talking to his team about in the huddle. Do not foul under any circumstance.
Chen inbounds to Garverick. They have to go semi-quickly, though. Here's Malgicini in the front court. 25 seconds left. Malgicini crosses over, steps back, under pressure. Bouncing it over to Garverick. He'll take the 3. Gone! We'll make that game go Rosenbaum. Timeout, Los Altos. They are out of timeouts. As are St. Francis, 15.1 left, and we have a 1-point game.
And St. Francis did a great job, but they were assuming Malgicini was probably going to be the one to shoot. They stopped him, double-teamed him, and then Rosenbaum, man in his face, Benedetti was right there. Just drains the 3. The junior has been doing it all offensively here in the second half for Los Altos. Only a 1-point game. Man, what a crazy finish.
Definitely. 15.1 seconds left. And now even if St. Francis were to get fouled and make both free throws, it'd still be a 1-possession game. And remember, neither team has a timeout left.
And you have to wonder about the inbounds. We've seen St. Francis throw it away once. Benedetti, is he going to be confident enough to throw a good inbounds pass in with only a 1-point game? As we take another look, I mean, Rosenbaum, it looked like Los Altos wasn't getting anything going offensively, going way too slow on their offensive set. Rosenbaum just bailing him out, draining that 3-point look. Man, what a clutch shot.
So this is a full timeout coming out for the Eagles as they have used the full complement of their timeout. If this should go to overtime. Each team is granted with one more full timeout per overtime. So they could get one more timeout if this thing were to go in overtime. But still a long way before we will be thinking about that. Garrett will inbound, tosses it. A good play to toss it to man out of bounds, as long as he hasn't established inbounds first. And then Garrett gets fouled by Rosenbaum. But remember, it's another one-on-one for Brian Garrett.
Certainly, but that's the guy they wanted to get the ball into. Garrett's been doing everything for the Lancers all game long, and a nice play design there to get Garrett away from his defender by pretending to be the inbounds man.
This is the huge free throw, and it's good. Garrett now 3 for 3 at the line. Makes it 49-47 Lancers. He'll get the bonus. 18 fouls apiece now. Hewitt going to the scorer's table, and Garrett rips it out, so it's a 2-point game. Neither team has a timeout. Garbrick with it. Garbrick in the front court, looking back at Rosenbaum. Garbrick spins, and the paint leans in, no good. Rebound deflected around, comes picked up Frazier, who lobs it out to Benedetti. And Los Altos bench wanted a foul, but it is not coming. With 1 second left, Benedetti will be at the line shooting a 1-and-1.
And not a bad play from Garbrick at all. Able to get into the paint, nice spin move. And wow, there was a lot of contact. I think they didn't call the foul. Frazier went straight up, looked like perhaps Garbrick made the contact, but that's a call that could have gone either way. You can see why Los Altos was a little upset, especially coming down the stretch. And 2 free throws will ice this game away with 1.5 seconds left here in regulation.
And he figured with it being a 1-on-1 situation for Benedetti, it's going to take a full court shot for Los Altos to have a chance to win it. Yeah, there's the mess, but now Rosenbaum heaves it. Ball game over, and St. Francis will advance to play either St. Ignatius or Wilcox tomorrow's Saturday's championship game. Final score: Lancers 49, Los Altos 47.
And you have to love both teams played their hearts out at the end of this game. Los Altos, talk about the grit and effort to get back into this game. They ended up never leading, but to get a great look here at the end from one of your senior leaders going towards the hoop, Garbrick into the paint, and again, a foul could have been called, could not have been called. It's a close call for the refs coming down the stretch. More times than not, that's not going to be called. But you want to get one of your senior leaders taking a shot at the end if you're Los Altos, and that's what they got. And so for St. Francis, a chance after only a 15-12 record, now 16-12 up to this point, they're going to have a chance to win the Division II CCS championship on Saturday.
Yeah, it should be a fun one there between either St. Ignatius or Wilcox. Producer director for tonight's game was Bobby Chastain. On camera, Sherlyn Meacham, Tim Erskine, and Luis Costa, and Renee Mendoza. Special thanks to Santa Clara High School for allowing us to do the CCS playoffs, as well as Steve Filios. Now for my broadcast partner, REK, I am Andrew Fury saying so long from Santa Clara High School, where tonight the St. Francis Lancers do a wire-to-wire job, beating Los Altos 49-47.